Welcome to my home garage again. So unfortunately the Audi 2-liter turbo, after 2 years and I don't know, about 15,000 kilometers, the rear coolant flange is already leaking again. So brand new coolant flange. I used an aftermarket unit, so we're gonna have to replace it again, unfortunately. So a way to spot this coolant leak is pretty easy. Number one, you'll start smelling the coolant. Number two, if you look right there, you can already see it's right there in that little corner. And if you follow it up with your finger, it leads right behind the flange. See if I can get you a good image of that. If you follow that coolant, it pulls up from behind the flange. So we have to remove that. So the first thing we're going to remove, just to make things a little easier, is take this harness off here. Take this off, disconnect this wiring, take this off, this wire, and just peel this harness back down here, out of the way. Move the vacuum line rubber rings, and then we'll see if we can actually do this without removing this coolant pipe completely and the vacuum pump. We're going to try and see what happens. Harness is peeled back, so we have one other hose line that comes through here, and it connects to one other line that connects to there, and it is for the actual temperature sensor that is on the back and ground strap. So if you disconnect the actual the one lower vacuum pump bolt, you can actually remove the bracket and the ground and bring it over here. So we might do that to get some extra space. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Got your little socket. I already made a video on doing it, and I'm going to remove it. There's our bolt. And now our ground strap is disconnected and it's over here. So now it's completely out of the way. So there's nothing interfering with our removal of the flange, except for removing the bolts and the lower rad hose and this hose on this side. So what you're going to do is get a clip. You got to remember, this looks like this right now. Okay, so this hose faces down like this. And what you want to do is release the metal clip on the Audi clamps and then pull the hose down. So get yourself like a pick like this. Reach down in there and pry it up. So I pried the clip out. There it is. So now we should be able to pull the hose back. And we already drained the coolant. So I didn't show that in the video, but we drained the coolant from the lower rad hose. So now we just got to drain it, pull this hose off. So using a pry bar, I just went inside and just tapped it down until it released. So now our lower rad hose that goes to the heater core is disconnected. So we kind of want to move it out of the way. Okay, so all we have left now is the hose on this side. So my idea is going to be release the hose clamp from the top of this metal one. This one up here. Release the hose, right? Just disconnect the bolts that hold the metal one. Peel it back, and that way I can disconnect the rear flange and twist it off the hose. So we're going to attempt that to not remove the vacuum pump and see how that goes. And the way that we're going to accomplish removing that hose clamp is with this tool. So pretty much I can put it back there and then grab this, pinch it, close, and it locks, and I should be able to remove that hose. But first, what I'm going to do to give myself a little bit more room is just remove the vacuum pump hose out of the way. Okay, this is just to give us some extra room in here, and that is about as much as I need, I believe. So just get this in here, get it onto the hose clamp. Okay, and there we are, disconnected now. All right. Now we'll disconnect it from here and just try and peel it back. There's one underneath on the front of the hose, right over here, underneath. See? Hose clamp for the fuel. Okay. Our fuel now is here. It's not really in the way. Our hose is here. So we might actually want to disconnect it from here, just so we don't break anything. And because the cooling system's already drained, we shouldn't get any. So see the way this works? Easy. Bring over here, release the tension. That's it. Okay. The reason you need one of these picks is so you don't damage hoses. So you get your hose pick in here, just go around, make sure it's released. Okay, there you go. Okay. Now we have all this movement of this hose. So I guess if we go this far, we might as well release. So the hose clamp is loose off of here. So let's get a straight pick, and we just want to make it easier, let's just remove. Okay, let's see the other hose. I'll just disconnect that one too while I'm here. Why not? I guess while we're here, we might as well disconnect this, get this thing out of the way. Alright, so this is escalating quickly. Every time I touch this car, it's like 20 things break on it. No lie. Oh, at this point, might as well do it properly, and let's just disconnect these hoses so we don't break anything, because we already know how this car is. It just escalates. So yeah, we got tons of room. We got our vacuum pipe here, completely out of the way. Okay. Now we can access this pipe. Remove that hose. I don't really like the hoses that I was using. Okay, so now we can move this small hose. Just make sure it's not stuck on anything. Alright. Okay, so now the hose is actually disconnected from the bottom pipe. So this is just connected to the rear pipe now. So what we can do is actually, I just got to loosen the two bolts on the back of the actual coolant flange, which is kind of all feel, so there's not much to show. Both bolts are removed. So now let's see if I believe they're both removed. Yeah, they're both removed. So now you just got to be careful not to break anything else today. Put this up here. Okay, well there it is. All right. is this leaking? Nobody knows. Well, the seal is completely flat. That's probably the reason why. Well, that's not bad for an Audi. You replace one part and there's only one casualty. It's not bad at all. So we can see the failure of this is literally the seal. It is completely flat. It is not doing anything anymore. So that's why they leak. And if you're going to go change it, and you're going to risk just ordering a seal and then it's more than a seal, I mean, you're kind of screwing yourself. So let's take a look at this seal. Oh, it's hard as a rock. It's only 2 years old. How did it fail already? That's just shit manufacturing. Look at that. And it's still pliable, but it's so flat. Okay. So now all we have to do is take everything off of this one and transfer it to the new one. So here's our sensor. I don't know why everyone always gets new sensors. We can change the sensor when it fails. There's our sensor. The seal on our sensor is perfect still. So we just orientate this the same way. So like that. Okay, jam our sensor in here. Okay, actually we should lubricate that seal first. Okay, so give me a second. Get my grease. Okay, so we'll lubricate our seal. Get inside of our new one. Give her a good spin like that, just to make sure the seal's seated. And then we just pop this bad boy in there. Okay, so now it's in. Okay, so now we're going to lubricate this seal after we transfer the hose. So we want it to transfer in the same orientation. So what we do is, what we want to do is just transfer it in the same way. So we got to remember that as this hose faces up, this is pretty much in the up position, just slightly back. So that's all I'm going to do is just transfer it over. So it's going to go like this. So you can see it's locked right now. So what we can do is we put a little mark here. So there we go. Just mark it like that. And then you know on your new one, it's literally on that edge. And what we want to do is remove this hose clamp. Okay, hose clamp is loosened. Let's just see if it twists. Nope, see it's tight. So what you want to do is get a pick like so. That doesn't damage the hose. Just run it behind and run it in front. And this loosens up anything that's keeping it from loosening up. Same idea. See how easy it comes off now? And we still have our marks on. There's no mistakes. Same thing, we get our synthetic grease. We lubricate the inside of this pipe. Okay. Now we're going to put our hose on. And we have our mark. We got our hose clamp still on here. Yes, we do. We slide this on. And we know that that blue line lines up with that edge right there. Grab our hose clamp. You want to see how convenient those hose clamp pliers I bought. I'm going to show them to you. Like, obviously, you don't need them in a situation like right now, but take a look. So, we literally put this on here, and I depress it. Okay? And there it is, done. I slide it where I want. It's locked. I don't have to worry or fuss about it. I put exactly where I want, and then I just release the lock. So I might want it to face, maybe we'll have it face down, like that. That might be more helpful. And that's it. And now you gotta remember, when it goes on, it's gonna be like this. So that way it won't interfere with our work. So this clamp is, we're going to put this clamp back on because we didn't have to take it out. The same idea. Like that. press this. It locks on its own. So maybe we'll put it in the same general direction, and then we'll just release it, and it's in place. So now I'm just gonna see if I have some better hose clamps for this side. Okay, so let's apply our grease to here. That's the only place you want to apply the grease. Now we're gonna slide her back in now. And another place you want to apply it is here, because you're going to have that pipe sliding on in the back. I'm going to make sure it's nice. So let's get us back to the table and get this reinstalled in here. Same thing, goes in like so. Careful not to damage this one. Putting it in. Get it back under there. Alright. Put your other hand behind and just feel it coming in. Yeah, there it is. See, it just kind of wants to fall into place. So what I want to see first is, oh, see the inside of that. Let's remove this again. The inside of that area isn't in the greatest shape. Okay, so let's get a mirror back there. Let me check it out. It's not too bad. I'm just gonna get a scuff pad and clean it up, and we should be good to go. There's no corrosion on it at all. First, just gonna wipe the hole. Make sure there's nothing in it. You can feel the lip where the seal sits. And it seems okay. And then we're just going to grab a scuff pad like so. Nothing abrasive. Too abrasive. Just clean any gunk that might be there. And just clean the mating surface a bit. And that's it. Clean it up with a clean scuff pad. Clean rag. Just want to make sure there's nothing there when the seal hits. Okay, I think it's good. Now we can slide our piece back in again. Okay, hose slides under here. Alright. Use this hand to feel from underneath and gently guide it into place. Okay. Make sure there's nothing stopping you, or no obstructions. So here we are. Should slide into the hole nicely because I lubricated the seal. And now you just want to get those screws in. So one at a time. First, what I recommend is using a mirror to make sure that the hole is lined up before you try and put a bolt in. Okay. Okay, so we're pretty close. It needs to move slightly. So what you should do is, okay, just okay, that's perfect right there. So now I should be able to slide my stop bolt in easily. So that's what we're going to do now. Let's see if we can get it in by hand. So the best way to do this is like this. This hand just feels the hole and the other one is going to guide it. Okay, and it should go in by hand. There shouldn't be any stress on tightening that bolt. It should go in really easily. Like mine is going in by hand right now. That's what you want. And you don't want to tighten it. You want to get it till it's close, and then you get your other one. Okay? And for a visual, you just look at your old flange. This one you can actually reach in through here and get it into the hole without an extension. So once you have it in there, grab your extension, get down in here. Tighten it up. All right. The reason I say tighten it up by hand is so that you don't pinch the seal. So that means if you're going slowly in and nicely, you shouldn't be damaging anything. Get your ratchet. Give her a good and tight. Not a lot of torque on this anyways. And the ratchet is so small that as tight as you can go with this little ratchet is probably just enough. Okay, there's one. Now we go on this side. Tighten this baby up. Now double check the other side one more time. Okay, so now we're going to reconnect the rear hose. Okay. Well, we got to get our clip back on now. Okay, so put the clip on first. Okay. Okay, I got the hose on now. We still have to put this stuff back on. Keep that in mind. But first we're going to pressurize the cooling system and make sure it's okay. So I'm just going to tighten up all the clamps. We can start disassembling the easy things because we haven't actually confirmed if our system's good yet or not. So let's just get this back in. Vacuum pump. Okay, so you can see it's kind of hard to do these hoses. But with this tool, I'm telling you, it is very easy. Just go like that. Your hose all the way up how you want it. Done. No drama. That's done. Okay, so now we just gotta connect all of this stuff here. Okay, so now I'm just gonna look everything over, make sure everything's good and tight. Okay, tight, tight, tight. All the connectors. Make sure they're all plugged in. Temperature sensor connector. That's the last one I didn't plug in. That's why you look at everything. There. Okay, so everything is plugged in. Yeah, some clips broke, but we did it without removing the vacuum pump, which isn't a big deal to remove, but it's one less thing, one less oil leak. We did manage to damage our hose here. I try and do a temporary fix until I can get a new one. All our hose clamps are tight. Double check them all. The back one's clipped in. All our wires are run here. So it looks like we're ready to vacuum bleed this system. This goes on here like here. Nice. So we got to get this hose in our bucket. And yeah, because the line is very, I say, it's still rolled up from packaging, I'm going to try something. So if you want to see what I done, I taped it to the bottom of the bucket so that it won't lift up and collect any air. So the first thing you want to do is pull all our coolant in here. So what I'm going to do is actually put more than I need, just in case. So that way, I can just put it back in the bucket after, no big deal. And make sure our air line doesn't get in the way of anything. The first thing we want to do is make sure we have a good vacuum. So close everything. Okay, good. Now we're going to create a vacuum. So this hose is closed because we don't want to suck any fluid in yet. So we just want to create a vacuum. So we're going to close it there. Okay. Just got to watch our gauge. Got to remember this isn't perfect. And there's still some coolant left in the system. We just want to make sure that our hoses are staying collapsed. Just check all your hoses. And you can see they're all collapsed. Oh, our coolant hose is leaking. Our rear coolant hose from the heater core has a leak as well. You can hear that? So it looks like I'm going to have to change that heater core hose. You can hear it leaking right there. Well, that's unfortunate. I don't think there's any way around that one. So unfortunately, we can't really do fix the car now because we have to replace our heater core hose because it has a leak. And you can totally hear it. When I press on the thermostat, on the flange housing, nothing. Well, this proves this tool works. Under vacuum, we have a vacuum leak. So, unfortunately, I gotta replace that hose first before we can finish this car. Because it's down there and we won't have any access to it. So what I'm gonna do right now is remove the battery and get more access. So at this point, I'm just gonna remove both heater core hoses carefully because they're attached to this rubber here, which goes through the firewall down here. So I have to actually remove this first before I can pull the rubber up and then the hose that I need out. Start it off. Let's start the vehicle and just make sure the cooling system's okay. Well, the vehicle looks like it's running okay for now, so let's let it get up to operating temperature and then we'll check for leaks. So on this vehicle, if you are not getting heat, take out this bolt, 10 millimeter, and wait till coolant comes out through here. This is technically one of the high spots of the cooling system. So once you get coolant here, you're removing most of the air bubbles. So I just did that now. And what you could do to confirm is you open it, crack it open. You'll watch the coolant come out a bit. And once you see coolant come out of it, you tighten it back up. Obviously, clean off the area. And then check in your car to see if you have heat. We still have cold air coming out of here. So touching my heater hose, back here, if you touch the heater hose, they should be hot air coming in through there. So that's another good indication. These are just kind of finicky to bleed. If you're having trouble getting heat, just get inside the vehicle, hold the revs up, heat on max, fan on low, and just wait until you get heat coming out. You got to make sure all your coolant hoses are hot. That's how you know the thermostat is opened up. So it's starting to open up. We're starting to feel that lower rad hose heat up, but we really need it to get hotter than that before we know 100% that it's open and that the system is bled. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Pretty much just let the vehicle run until you feel the thermostat open up and the fan cycle, and you're done. I've inspected it for coolant leaks. The coolant leaks are now gone. So that's pretty much how you replace the rear coolant flange without taking out the vacuum pump. It's not that hard. Have a nice day, guys.